Good evening, class. Had a few technical difficulties, so I apologize if my mouth and the video doesn't happen to sync up. Been working on it for a while, but I think I might have to give up the fight. My name is Sean Carlson. This is my second year at JWI. This is actually my second time taking this class. The first time I had some difficulties as far as family was concerned, and I was unable to finish weeks 2, 3, 4, and 5, as well as the first paper. And I didn't get to do this video because I was out on the ranch. I graduated with a BS in Organizational Communications from the University of Kansas. I ignored all the agriculturally related scholarships that were coming in from other universities just because I did not want to be on the farm anymore. It was not the life for me. Sorry for the little pun there. Upon graduating, I was drawn to Austin, Texas, where I began my career with a tech startup named Hay Software Systems. And I remained there for right around 16 years. It was basically the first job right out of college. The greatest part about being at a small startup, however, is being able to have all those roles and also be able to have access to just about everything that you can imagine for running a company. Exposure that you would never likely get at any other size organization. So we started with 4 and ended with around 50 by the time I left. I started as a customer support advisor and trainer, and I was asked to do the training for all the different various high schools around the state of Texas. We eventually went national. I was then asked to be the Vice President of Customer Relations. VP titles are kind of fun when you're at a small company. Shortly thereafter, we removed those because of liability issues, whether real or not. And I decided to hand the reins over to the director that I had hired while I was the vice president and move over to solely doing product management. Being in customer support, I was kind of the default go-to for all product management, product questions, so it was a very natural fit. At the same time, I was asked by the CEO, because he was kind of he didn't think he was doing that great of a job managing the HR department. So he asked me to be the director of operations as well as the director of product management, hoping that I'd be able to split my time 80-20. Well, as most of you know, that usually isn't very possible. But I did manage to get one great initiative accomplished as the director of operations, which also included a lot of finance, trying to do all the cost comparisons. Our phone system had gone obsolete, and also some of our technology was becoming difficult. So went through the process of transitioning us to VoIP, hosted Microsoft 365, where we then also were able to post all of our HR documents as well as our training documents and marketing collateral for everybody to be able to get access to. Integrations from that point just abounded, integrating the Phonality, which was our VoIP solution, with all kinds of, with the CRM, with obviously with SharePoint. We also integrated it with TFS. We had switched from Rally quite some time earlier just to save money once we knew what we didn't know. And so that's sort of the story there. We were privately owned, which meant that we were an open book policy. As an executive committee member, we rotated with the other execs in the presenting the financials. Our CEO was so convinced that people needed to understand the financials that he even had a little half-day class where new employees would get to read the ballot, where new employees would show how to read a balance sheet and a profit and loss statement. A great segue and way to transition out of talking about, hey, software systems is to quote from my website, and also it's on LinkedIn. But my former CEO, just jump over here to About Me and jump down to my character references, and I'll just read it right here for you. So we hired Sean to lead our customer support effort due to his acumen, personality, and passion for helping customers. Sean turned out famously low-key, having a beneficial calming effect on the panicky administrators. Adding, Sean was a win for us and a huge win for our customers. It has been a privilege to watch him face and overcome hurdles, pursuing challenges, growing, and evolving into the leader he is today. There is truly no one else like Sean. Later on, I became disenchanted with Austin, not my job, and decided it was time to move. So after some soul searching and interview feedback, very consistent that with two different responses, either one, you are overqualified, or two, you're underscaled. So my husband and I decided to take a step back in my career in order to move forward with a new focus, gearing my career towards a joy that I have had, a joy of mine, of agile and change leadership rather than executive management. Lexmark Enterprise Software provided me the perfect option as a subject matter expert and Agile Scrum Master Level 3. I was fortunate that this was a time period when companies and the market were leaning strongly towards selecting A players as opposed to A positions. In this particular position, they were seeking someone that had the acumen to be able to switch between roles and understand all the positions, and someone especially that the dev manager could not run off, and that would not be scared of management, scared of executives. And that's definitely something that does not bother me or intimidate me. I don't see titles. So Andrew was not able to chase me away as he had done the 3 previous Scrum Masters. Turned out he said I was the best Scrum Master he'd ever had, so that was great. A few years later, I was promoted to the SAFE Release Train Manager over the new Lexmark Healthcare Value Stream, which was comprised of 4 different companies that we had just recently bought, as well as a team that we had from our company. The acquisitions were around 140 million. This promotion happened about halfway through the year after having already purchased the acquisitions. That year following, we were the only ones that, the only industry stream that exceeded our profit margins for the year. I was laid off the following year due to the sale of Lexmark, something I never thought would happen. However, a new path was established. I carried new monikers of growth hack, driver of initiatives, senior agilist, scaled agilist, change mentor, and various other ones that I know I'm forgetting now. You can check out my written post or website or LinkedIn to see what happened next as far as my career. I had several different contracts that I was working on, as well as becoming a student at JWMI. Believing I had found a new company to call home with Commerce Bank, I moved back to KCMO, right across the street, actually, on the 30th floor. As you can tell by looking behind me, besides the Christmas tree, all the lights at the other buildings. In my new role as Lean DevOps Project Manager, I not only was doing what I loved, the bank had more cost analysis than I'd ever seen in software development and product management, down to the average cost per story point of each one of the features that we added to the technology stack or to an application if I were in charge of an application. In this case, I was asked to come in and help establish a DevOps department. With phase one complete and my plan for phase two established, I took a new contract. It was a contract to perm position with Cox Automotive. Here in Kansas City, that's Vin Solutions, which is a division of Cox Automotive. I'd been trying to get in there for quite some time, and I do not like being a contractor. So besides what my website may look like, I am not a consultant. I am not a contract employee by trade. I want to be back and established in a permanent position. My level of financial proficiency is relatively high just because I'd started out my first year at college as a financial accountant major, quickly realizing that it was not something that I really enjoyed. At Hayes Software, as I'd already mentioned, I was allowed to do budgets, forecasts, cost comparisons, trend analysis, analysis of other companies, comparative analysis of products. So I was quite involved in the financial pieces of it. At a startup, as I mentioned before, you do a lot of wearing different hats. With my family's ranch going through bankruptcy at the moment, there's been a lot of very intriguing conversations with banks and lawyers and financiers. My father now being released from the hospital, even in the state that he's in, keeps thinking of new things that he wants to do, even after the bankruptcy. So at that point, there is no doubt that I'll be asked to help him establish an investment group for his feeder cattle programs that he likes to run, and find a new way to do the investor groups. It's not just somebody that you happen to know, but that is more virtual or more internet driven. How do you use personal information in my position? In layman's terms, I am a project portfolio manager. I was asked just the other day by a recruiter to explain what an Agilist is, or a Scrum Master is, or a scaled Agile leader asked me what SAFe was. And the easiest way to explain it to someone who hasn't been involved in software is that it's about, it's very similar to project management. It's just that your project happens to be a software. It's also, and then when you go to SAFe, which is Scaled Agile, it is very similar to portfolio management. The first two tiers, actually, of Scaled Agile framework were stolen from two different methodologies. The First being from project management itself, which is the portfolio management piece. And then the second piece is from Six Sigma, which is the value streams. And then you finally start getting down into some of the actual agile areas. I do not have really any fears of financial accounting. I would like to further develop my understanding in two particular areas that I have trouble conceptualizing. At least I did in the first class, and also I've had trouble conceptualizing it over the past few years, because when I refer to unrealized and unearned revenue, I have something that's very specific in mind, and this doesn't necessarily apply to everybody. And so being able to broaden that understanding, the unearned revenue that we had applied to my training programs I had set up. I hired training consultants, and they went out and did the trainings for me. But what happened was school districts wanted to buy it in advance, 2 or 3 years worth. And so we had to put it in unearned revenue until the actual services were delivered. And that made sense to me, but apparently that's not the only way that you work with unrealized and unearned revenue. The second one is one that happened at Lexmark constantly, and I tried to understand as best I could by questioning people and questioning the CFO, but no one really is able to explain it in a very simplistic, direct way, which is investment in foreign currency. Our company at Lexmark at the time had a lot of cash over in China and would constantly refer to the markets over there and what the value is of our current assets, the liquid assets that we had there. And whether it was increasing, decreasing, and I understand currency rates, but how it all fit back into our big picture never quite made sense to me. And last is my least favorite of the 3 different methods, which is transfer pricing. It's primarily due to I don't like it because of the complexity and the emotions that are inherent that do not seem to transfer to any savings. And so understanding a way of where transfer pricing is actually beneficial would be nice, because right now I'm a little biased against it. I have a website that you can go to, transparentchange.com, and you can find out anything you want to about me out there, follow whatever I'm doing. I'm also on LinkedIn. You'll see the LinkedIn in my written post. You can also check out my Strayer University SharePoint page, which is JWI Student PLC. I believe when I'm sharing multiple screens is when my voice and my hands start not interacting together well. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. Again, wanted to wish everybody a great semester, and I look forward to learning from all of you. Cheers.